Yeah, I think I'm going to sim the first season of this as well. So I got blown out by the Panthers in the first game that I played, and I'm not even going to show you the highlights because it's really not worth watching. But after that, I decided, if for no other reason than for my own sanity, I'm going to sim the first season of this franchise as well, like I did with the Howard Dynasty. So as you can see, we're getting blown out in most of these games. We even got blown out by an 0-3 Cardinals team, and it's just getting uglier and uglier at this point. So I'm going to keep simming these games, and at some point, it's going to get to the point where I just sim the entire season in a single bound because all of these games are really ugly. As you see, the Giants just beat the mess out of us 38-3. And week 7, after a week 6 bye, the Steelers blow us out 41-3. I mean, it is just ugly. We're not scoring a lot of points at all, which is kind of what I expected because this team isn't good and it wasn't going to be good either. So as you can see here, I decide at 0-7, we're just simming the whole season. It is what it is. We actually played the Lions pretty close though. It was 11-21. Then the Browns beat the absolute mess out of us 38-3. Then the Ravens put up 51 on us. So we're down to 0-10 at this point. Then we take on the Saints for a second time, and we actually held them to 24 points at least. So a little bit of progress there. I like it. But then the Washington Redbones beat us 34-0. The Bucks put up 41 on us, so we're just back to what we were before. Them boys put up 40 on us and they shut us out, so we're just getting shut out by all these teams. The Panthers beat us 27-6, so that's not that bad. But then in the final game of the season, the Eagles beat us 44-zip. So we got shut out by 3 of the 4 teams in the NFC East. LaDainian Tomlinson set a single season record for rushing yards with 2,601, which is absolutely insane, but not really all that shocking because he usually does that in the first year of the franchise. Marvin Harrison sets a single season record for most receiving yards with 1,876. He was really killing it out there, wasn't he? Anyways, Washington ended up winning the NFC at 12-4. We ended up finishing last in the conference at 0-16, which is really not a surprise at all. The Patriots ended up having the best record in the AFC, and the worst record went to the Jets at 4-12. So we're definitely getting the number 1 pick. As we look at the wild card results, the Bengals beat the Steelers 27-20. The Packers beat the Bears 20-16. The Chargers end up beating the Jags 10-6, and then the Rams knock off the Panthers 20-16. In the divisional round, the Patriots blow out the Chargers 38-16. The Packers upset Washington 37-26. The Broncos beat the Bengals 39-29, and the Bucks barely beat the Rams 17-14. The Patriots beat the Broncos in the AFC Championship game 31-20, and the Packers blow out the Bucks 31-10 in the NFC Championship game. But you want to talk about blowouts. The Packers put up 58 points on the Patriots, winning the Super Bowl 58-10. So Michael Vick really made a big difference for them. So now looking at the stats for the season, Cedric Davis had 1 touchdown to 21 interceptions. Ronnie Dobbins only ran for 727 yards. Brad Falla led the team in receiving yards and receptions, but didn't have a single touchdown catch. And then Jerry May led the team with 120 tackles. And honestly, it was just a rough season all around. There's really not much else you can really say. And LT ended up winning MVP, of course, with his huge season. He had 512 carries and 26 touchdowns, so that man definitely put in a lot of work. He also won Offensive Player of the Year as well. Donnie Edwards won Defensive Player of the Year with 120 tackles, 8 sacks, and 7 picks. Sonoris Moss won Offensive Rookie of the Year. Ronnie Dobbins was 2nd, and Brad Falla was 4th. So we did have some players up there at least. And then looking at Defensive Rookie of the Year, Jerry May ended up winning with 120 tackles, 6 sacks, 5 forced fumbles, and 3 fumble recoveries. So he had himself quite the season. Hasselbeck wins Best Quarterback, LC wins Best Running Back, Harrison wins Best Receiver, John Jansen wins Best Offensive Lineman, Charles Grant wins Best Defensive Lineman. Jerry May finished 2nd though. Edwards finished Best Linebacker, Donovan Darius finished as Best Defensive Back, and Sebastian Janikowski finished as Best Kicker. So we ended up firing Jim Mora Jr. and our special teams coach as well. And we decided to go hire the Packers offensive coordinator, Jeff Jagosinski, who in real life was the former Boston College head coach. So we decided to hire him after the 58-point Super Bowl that he had. We also hired defensive coordinator Mike Singletary as our defensive coordinator. And then as far as offensive coaches, we decided to go with another former Packers head coach, Mike Sherman, as our offensive coordinator. And then our defensive coordinator, we decided to go after Tillman here, who was the former special teams coach for the Vikings. So we'll have to see how things go for us. There are a few retirements to look at. Troy Vincent retires, as does Rod Smith and Ted Washington as well, just to name a few of these guys. Kurt Warner retires, Keenan McCardell and Lorenzo Neal do. Trent Green and Damon Heward retire for the Chiefs, so they'll need a new quarterback. Aaron Glenn retires. And we have a bunch of retirements, including LaMichaels, who was one of my subscriber-made players. So hopefully whoever made him will have a shot at getting one of the rookies that we draft, or we'll get a shot at creating another player and just having their overall and their age randomized, which is why LaMichaels retired in the first place anyways. So sorry about that. Sorry about that bad luck. But, you know, that's just kind of how it goes. I don't know why the Seahawks had 2 punters either, but hey, it is what it is. But yeah, and as you see, Brad Johnson and that human piece of shit, Darren Sharper retired. Also, one thing I forgot to mention, for this franchise rebuild, I'm going to be using the same rules that Mr. Hurricane had for his Austin Venom franchise in Madden 09. The rules as a whole will be put in the description of this video, but one of the big rules was I'm not allowed to sign anybody in free agency until I get a win. So that's going to make this rebuild a lot harder, I know, but I feel like it's necessary to put that in, because otherwise, what's stopping me from signing guys like Jamal Lewis or Chad Pennington or any of these guys that are free agents? So I'm just showing you where a lot of the big name players went. As you see, T.O. went to the Broncos, which absolutely goes crazy. Todd Heap goes to the Patriots. Gonzalez goes to the Panthers. So a lot of big name players are switching up teams here. But yeah, I mean, I just feel like it would make it way too easy if I was just able to sign all these people. Although I think if your team is bad enough, some of these guys will just not go to your team, even if you give them a crap ton of money. Like, they'll take less money to go somewhere else in this game, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong about that. Let me know in the comment section if I'm incorrect in that regard, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. If your team is really, really bad, they're not going to sign for you for any reason. But I just wanted to stop any possibility of that potentially happening anyways. But honestly, that's something I probably should have tested before I started this series, and I'll take responsibility for that. So this is definitely going to make this series harder, like I said, but I feel like with the draft picks, we should be fine. We should be able to rebuild this team. And once I get some wins, I'll be able to sign some players. So now let's go to the draft. And the first player that I'm going to select is going to be Clay Fryer with the first overall pick. They said I should pick the running back Bright, but I just feel like left tackle is going to be a much more important position for me to address. Now, obviously, we have a left-handed quarterback, so he's going to move to the right side. And with the first pick in the second round, we decided to go with receiver Sheldon Smith, and the crowd seems to love that one. He's probably going to be wide receiver number 1 with how weak our team is, though. So now, looking at running backs, we are going to go with Eddie Henson here, which is who they advised me to pick. And as you're going to hear in just a second, they're not going to like this pick very much for some reason. I guess because we have too many running backs. But yeah, they're booing the hell out of me for that one. So now we go to round number 4. There are plenty of options we have here, but I decided to go corner, and we're going to go with Sean Bishop, who is projected to go in the 3rd round. He has a really good 40, and they seem to like the pick, so I ain't too mad at the reaction there. Then we decided to go with another offensive lineman to help build up that offensive line, and I decided to go with Mon Rasby here, and they boo the hell out of me. But you know what? Their boos mean nothing. I've seen what they cheer for. So in the 6th round, we decided to go with Jerome Seymour, who's somebody that I scouted before the draft, and they boo that as well. But once again, I've seen what makes them cheer, so I ain't worried about their boos. Last pick of the draft, we go with the middle linebacker, Randy Morris, and of course they boo that as well. But here are the overalls. Fryer is an 85. Sheldon Smith is an 80. Henson's a 79. Bishop's a 78. Rasby's a 73. Seymour is a 72. And then our last pick, Morse, he's a 69. Nice. So in the next video, I'll show you guys the preseason, and then I'll also show you guys the roster going into the regular season. So keep an eye out for that video, and hopefully we'll get the regular season started soon. Although I do have another video talking about how I'm going to do the regular season for this series and for the Howard series as well. So just keep your eyes out for that. But can we actually get at least one victory in this upcoming season? You're just going to have to keep on watching to find out.